What's up, everybody? Welcome to this bonus episode of the Dropkicks Joysticks series, The Week in Wrestling. I am your host, Bloody Bill Vaux, and on this show, we're going to talk current events in pro wrestling. Now, I was doing current events over on Dropkicks Joysticks, and I felt like it was starting to take away from the episode. I was spending 15-20 minutes talking about topics, and even that was a rush. And every Saturday on Twitch, when I do those, we're always talking current wrestling anyway. So I figured, why not make the most out of everything and do a live podcast recording? So this is being recorded live on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, this was recorded live on Twitch. Typically speaking, we'd be starting about 10 a.m. on a Saturday. But it's bright and early here on a Saturday. Got some different plans today. But here this week, we're going to talk all the current news. We had WWE programming leading into Crown Jewel. We had NXT's Halloween Havoc Night 2. There was some AEW stuff that I didn't get to watch because I don't have live TV. And, you know, WWE puts up 90-minute versions of Raw and Smackdown. I didn't get to watch all of last night's Smackdown yet. Thanks to somebody broadcasting it somewhere, I was able to catch a few minutes here and there. Didn't seem like an overly interesting show, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But the big news this week, I think, at least for what I can gather, the big news this week is the Nature Boy Ric Flair signing a multi-year deal with All Elite Wrestling. Yikes. Now, there was a point in time where I wouldn't have said yikes. But considering what has gone down with the Nature Boy Ric Flair in recent years, I'd say his image is just a little bit sullied, considering some of the things that Tony Khan has said about Vince McMahon, who has similar accusations to the ones Ric Flair has had over the years. It comes across as a bit hypocritical. I don't know what AEW needs from Ric Flair. I don't know what the benefit is there. And I'm not saying this to like dog on the guy. Like I love his body of work. But what does he really have to give? I don't say this to be malicious, but after his health issues and years of drinking, his speech is different. His promo is not as good as it used to be. I just don't know what value Ric Flair is really going to bring to AEW. And this is a signing that seems to be dividing even the core base. Like, this isn't just outside people that usually rip on AEW being like, ha, 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 ha. They signed the Nature Boy Ric Flair. What a bunch of fucking idiots. Even their diehards are saying, okay, wait a minute here. Hold on. Pump the brakes. Why are we signing this guy? With one of the complaints I've been seeing is people saying with all the allegations against him, specifically of his mistreatment of women, why are we bringing him here? And not only that, AEW is partnered up with his energy drink, which I've never tried. I got nothing to say anything about, so I don't care. I don't know if it's a good or a bad partnership. He claims it's a clean energy drink. He's taken a lot of shots at Logan Paul's Prime, so I'm guessing it's cleaner than Prime. That energy drink is going to be at concession stands. It's going to be in the locker room. AEW is like legitimately going all in with Ric Flair here. Not no pun intended there. And it's got people divided, man. Super duper divided. Me personally, like I said, I don't see the value in signing Ric Flair at this stage of his career. And prove me wrong. And you know me, I'll admit if I'm wrong, if Ric Flair segments start popping numbers for AEW and he starts helping them fill those venues up more as a result of his promo work or his bumps, heaven forbid, he says he can take bumps. Says his doctor cleared him for more bumps. Says he doesn't want to wrestle, but he can take a table bump. That was one quote I saw. And I didn't listen to it. We know how wrestling sites can misquote, so we'll leave it at bump. But maybe he did say table bump. That didn't sound very Ric Flair, though. I must admit. Ric Flair saying he would take a table bump. Maybe they asked him, and he was like, yeah, sure, table bump. Fuck it. Woo, table bump. You are listening on Spotify. You can't see me sipping on it, but if you're watching live on Twitch or on demand on YouTube, you know that I'm sipping on the unofficial sponsor of this show, Dunkin'. Dunkin' D's nuts. Oh, Jesus. I'm a lot more polished when I do a podcast recording at home. Well, I am at home, but when it's not live, I don't make crude jokes like this always. But yeah, so people are rightfully, in my opinion, up in arms about Ric Flair signing. And then the craziest part about it is I saw some note and I didn't see where it came from. So we take this as a big time grain of salt. But I saw a note out there that said that Tony Khan was maybe softening on his stance on Hulk Hogan and that he may actually consider bringing Hogan in as part of the Sting retirement package. Wow, that would be nuts. I think that could murder a lot of the AEW fan base off if they sign Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is not remotely as respected as he used to be. And I think a lot of wrestling fans are done with Hulkamania. I think a lot of to them, Hulkamania is dead. But AEW is going wild lately, relying on the old WWE stars for the company that wants to be different than. They seem to be trying to be more like. And that's not what got WCW to the top. And the other people saying they're trying to be WCW 2.0. I'm not watching the live programming, so I don't see the presentation, but I see the talent being used. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Just since I'm on the AEW note, I talked about this during the Maligned stream on Thursday night, but the attendance issues. I noticed something about the ticket map, and I wanted to talk about it, and maybe somebody in one of these platforms will know if this is a regular deal, or maybe I'll have to go look for it myself. Maybe it's new, maybe it's not, but they booked what are they called? The Yum Center, or is it the Yum Center? I don't know. Something about Yum. That's all I know. In Louisville, Kentucky. And apparently this building has a capacity of 22,000, but they scaled it for only like 5, and they only sold about 3,600. Now, what I noticed about the ticket map is the section that we're always seeing pictures of being empty didn't appear to be for sale. Is that something they're always doing, or have they picked up on the fact that they're selling less and less tickets? So when they start making these events on sale, they're just not selling that side anymore? Are they becoming self-aware of the problem? And they are intentionally saying, well, might as well only sell these sections. I imagine they booked a lot of these venues in advance. And like I said on Thursday, I really think AEW, for the betterment of their brand and the presentation of the brand, I think they need to consider those smaller venues. If On average, they're drawing between 2 and 4,000 people for a weekly TV. Book the venue that only seats 3. Do it. ECW back in the day looked amazing with 3,000 people screaming, yelling, having a good time around the ring. It was a good presentation. Camera work was kind of shoddy, but it was a good presentation. And I'm not saying AEW can't do the big seats. I mean, in fact, for I think it's the Nassau Coliseum. It's probably got a different name now. Long Island World's End pay-per-view. They had a strong day one. They did. I wrote it in my notes. 4,256 tickets on day one. For them, that's a pretty good day one. I'm sorry to say for them, but they've been having a hard time moving tickets. But I think that's a very respectable day one for a company that is still growing in a market that has largely been dominated by the WWE. So I'm not saying they can't run certain big venues, but I think in a lot of places they need to start smaller and build that urgency to buy tickets. Now, if you go to a place that only seats 3,000 people and you sell all 3,000, but 4,000 people wanted tickets, now there's a demand. Then people can say, oh man, I wish they'd run this building. And if that grows and that grows and that grows, then you can start going back to those big buildings and start drawing those big numbers. But the creative also has to be there. And for what I'm reading, again, I'm not watching, so I got to preface that. For what I'm reading in the various places, because I don't just stick to one source. I read everybody's reviews. I read Twitter feeds to see what people are saying. The creative seems to be kind of shaky in some places, and that can turn a viewer off. I know before I cut my live TV, I wasn't as with the product. I was kind of getting a little shaky in terms of paying attention. The in-ring action, they've got a great roster. The in-ring stuff can be great, but sometimes the in-ring even is hampered by what's going on outside. I don't know. I'm not somebody that is rooting against AEW. I want to see AEW succeed. The same as once upon a time, I wanted to see TNA become the number 2 again. Because at first they really had a kind of a WCW feel, but like they were trying to go back to 98, 99. I say 99 because 99 was a little shaky, and so was some of TNA. But you know, I want to see these other places succeed because it's more places to work. It's more places to broadcast. It's more places to buy tickets and more places to buy merch. The more places do well, the better the overall business does. Because then when it's mainstream popular, the independents always do better too. Because then wrestling becomes wrestling to people that are just wrestling fans. Then you move more tickets for your independents. It's all about a trickle-down effect. So I want to see AEW rise. I want to see TNA rise. I'd love to see MLW rise. I want to see Ring of Honor rise. I know that's an AEW brand too, but I want to see everybody rise. I'd love to see New Japan figure out how to establish the United States presence. I'd love to see it. It could be great. And then it would all trickle down. Trickle down, baby. Trickle down, trickle down, trickle down. But I guess we mentioned TNA Wrestling, so we'll move into them. I read an interview that Scott D'Amore did. He says, and I love the conviction that Scott D'Amore speaks with. Like when he talks about stuff, man, like I feel it. I feel it quite well. Just the passion that he speaks with it, but he says TNA Wrestling is going to be I hate this term, but he says they're going to be a game changer in 2024 when they officially start rebranding. He had a great line. He said, "We owe it to ourselves to take we owe it to our fans to take chances and successes like we had with Ultimate X and King of the Mountain but sometimes we will fall on our face in a reverse battle royal. So basically, I think look for TNA to be taking some chances. Apparently, they're going to have brand new sets, new presentation. I'm excited to see what they do. I don't think necessarily the rebranding is going to make them do anything better, but I think if it reignites their efforts, it could launch them into something. Yeah, I mean, it got me in the nostalgia stuff. I mean, I'll tell you that, because the Impact Wrestling name, to me, that was always the show name. I always thought, back in the day, it was Total Nonstop Action, TNA, and the show was Impact. So then when the show became the promotion, I'm like, well, what is the weekly show? Well, it's still Impact. But the promotion is Impact. Yeah, but the show is Impact. Huh? And I know a lot of people were like, oh, I never stopped calling it TNA. I kind of went back and forth, depending on what day of the week it was. Whether I was a TNA or an Impact. But hey, I'll look forward to it. It'll be fun. It'll be cool. What does it start with? Hard to Kill. Yeah, it starts with Hard to Kill. So I'll look forward to it. I'm not going to order it probably because, pay-per-views can be pricey. And I mean, if my buddies wanted to get together for it, I could see maybe doing that, split the bill like we do for AEW. Which reminds me, I should ask these guys if they want to do Full Gear. Then I can at least get caught up on that. Get caught up on those things there. Let's move along my news notes here before we start jumping into the wrestling shows, because I was able to watch some of those. So this one's random. Drake Bell showed up at a Mexican wrestling event. You say, who the fuck is Drake Bell? Because when things first started popping up about him a couple of years back, I was like, who the fuck is Drake Bell? I was not a part of the Drake Bell Nickelodeon era, but that fella got felony attempted child endangerment for the sexual abuse of an underage fan. All we need to say. But apparently down in Mexico, at some unknown wrestling promotion, I've never even heard of him. I didn't even bother writing it down. He showed up in a mask. He took the mask off. Apparently got a favorable reaction, so maybe that area is into that sort of thing. I don't know. Let's hope, though, that Drake Bell stays very far away from American pro wrestling. It's gross. Fucking weird. Weird. That was a quick one. We already covered the AEW Strong Day 1 tickets as part of the suggestion of smaller venues, so I can skip over that one. Erick Rowan, or what does he go by? Eric Redbeard, did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, maybe? I've never actually heard that man's name said out loud. He goes by CVV, but did an interview, and just one thing that I thought was interesting is that he and Bray Wyatt had talked about a possible Wyatt family reunion in WWE. Obviously, they would be able to do it with Brody Lee, Luke Harper, but it could have gotten Braun involved, and there had been always this talk of the Wyatt Six possibly being a faction that he did in WWE. I just it was a nice moment to see or to read that a Wyatt family reunion had been discussed, because with the version of Bray Wyatt that we were getting, I don't think we had gotten where we were going when he got sick. It was fizzling out personally. I felt like the burn was just a little too slow. But Could have been interesting to see where things went. What was going to happen with Uncle Howdy? How would Erick Rowan have worked in if he was going to work in? Would Braun Strowman have worked in at all before he got hurt with his neck injury? Alexa Bliss was allegedly tapped for it. Eric Young was tapped at one point. In fact, he voiced over something at one point in time. Karrion Kross and Scarlett were I mean, there were so many rumors around it that we'll never know because of that untimely passing of Bray Wyatt earlier this year. And it's crazy to think that it's only been 2 months, a little over 2 months. But what a long 2 months, man. He just passed away in August, right? Yeah, it was August. Crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Still wild that Bray Wyatt passed away, 36 years old. And it may be tough to see here, but we keep a little tribute to Bray here. His Mad Hatter figure they put out in the Remco-inspired line is always standing in the background, kind of peering in with the hurt and heel gloves. Bray Wyatt kind of has a little bit of a presence here. I always try to work him in here. The pops are, different, a little bit arranged every time. Sometimes it's slightly different. I think we got a lot of the same today, though. I'm kind of getting used to the arrangement of pops. And if you're listening on Spotify, you have no idea what I'm talking about. That's a case to switch over on to YouTube for this one. But anyway, the last news note that I wrote for this week, actually, no, it's not, because I wrote it in another one, but it's video game wrestling related, but all the same. So I guess 2 more news notes. Roman Reigns apparently done wrestling for the year after Crown Jewel, which is later today as this is being recorded. I thought for sure he'd at least do Survivor Series. To be frankly honest, I kind of figured they'd do that champion versus champion shit, and he'd beat Seth Rollins in some way, kind of exact his revenge. But maybe they didn't feel like they could build up that match because Seth is really one of the only ones to really get deep inside Roman's head along the way in this title reign that Roman's had. But apparently after his match with LA Knight today, he's out. He's out until the Rumble. And that doesn't mean he's not going to make appearances, but he's not going to wrestle apparently. This is the first time that I've been kind of disappointed with this part-time attraction stuff. I don't mind the part-time attraction champion. It makes him extra special. It's the same thing that worked with Brock. I think it's the same thing that worked with a lot of guys over the years when it came to WWE, where the champions are not on TV every week. They're not wrestling every single week. It makes them special. But if Roman's not going to be on the TV show at all, he's not going to wrestle at all, I don't know that. I hope that's wrong. I hope we at least get one more. I mean, I know it's funny to say, I hope we get one more because the Rumble's in January. It is November. I don't like the idea of that. Of Roman not being around. Zane in the chat says, imagine if Roman loses, I presume you mean to LA Knight, and then wins the Royal Rumble. I can't see that happening, but that would absolutely be bonkers. I won't lie. That would be bonkers as all hell. If Roman lost and went away today, that I could be fine with, not be so apprehensive about. But I don't see that happening, which is almost a perfect segue into Crown Jewel's predictions. But I got one more piece of news I want to cover before we get there. Almost a perfect segue in. I should have done this one afterwards. But it is what it is. If Roman's done after today, he's done after today. He's got that stroke. He is that star in WWE. It is what it is, man. You know, what you going to do? What are you going to do? Complain about it online and on this podcast. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. The last piece of news this week is AEW Fight Forever dropped a patch finally. 1.07 dropped, and I have no clue what it fixed. Has a lot of notes. Says a lot of stuff. Stadium Stampede still sucks. It's still me, one other person, and 28 bots. Taking 10 years to match up. I think this patch might be too little too late when it comes to AEW Fight Forever. They're like, oh, keep an eye out. Big things are coming in season 2. And the big thing they used as the image is Zombie Kenny Omega. Zombie Kenny Omega would have been good for Halloween. And then the other thing that worries me, and I'm trying to wait to pass judgment until I hear more, but they said big things coming in season 2. Well, my friends, I already bought a season pass. Does that cover more than one season? Probably not. But we'll wait and see whether or not there is additional monies to be put in, because I am still pretty surly about the $72 that I already gave towards this game for what has been a pretty big letdown. Stadium Stampede was fun for like the first couple days, and it seems like nobody is playing that anymore. What happened there? That shit is done. Yesterday, I played 3 rounds. 1 round had 4 people. The rest of them was me and one other person. Good opportunity for ranking up, I guess. I mean, I'm only level 5. I haven't played it that much. But it doesn't seem like anybody else is really playing it anymore either. And if they are, they're not going online. I don't see it live on Twitch often. I don't see anybody streaming it on Twitch anymore. When you go for like recommended channels and stuff, I don't see it as a game being played. I don't see a lot of content posted for it at all. I stopped recording stuff when the DLC was dropping. I was starting to record the mini games and sharing those. Stopped doing that, so I don't know. I think I have to bring out some big guns. One thing it looks like they're going to be doing is, in the update, they renamed the Dynamite stage to Dynamite Classic, which indicates that they're going to bring in the new Dynamite stage. I don't see it anywhere. So, like, is it there? Do we have to unlock it? Or we have to pay for it? Is that what's coming in season 2? I don't know. I almost feel like we should just take Fight Forever for what it was at its base and move along to the next game. Use our base, build from there. Try to make something better next time, because I think this one's a lost cause. I mean, Stadium Stampede is an entirely different control scheme. Like, it's the same, but it's not. I don't know how to explain it. It's the same, but it's not. Everybody fights the same. Like, if I pick Kenny Omega, why is he not fighting like Kenny Omega? If I pick Jon Moxley, why is he not fighting like Jon Moxley? If I pick my created character, why is he not fighting the way that I gave him the moveset? Why is everything scoop slam? I don't know. But that's what I got for the news and the notes this week. Let's move on to Crown Jewel. Crown Jewel predictions. Since this might be the last time we talk about Roman Reigns in 2023, let's move on to our Crown Jewel predictions. I'll admit that I pulled this match order off of Wikipedia. because they're generally pretty reliable for the card orders anyway. Wikipedia can be pretty shaky, but it's everybody when I go looking for a card for these PLEs, WWE breaks it out into 10 different pages. And then all these other guys will tell you their life story before they get there, and they bury the matches within paragraphs. I just need it in list form, and Wikipedia is actually good for that. So it's like the only thing in life I use for Wikipedia. And the other thing about Wikipedia, it is a good link source. You may not be able to trust what's written above, but there are links below. You can click those links and go to the actual sources that are being used and see what's really going on. But anyway, Crown Jewel, these are the predictions. Like I said at the top of this program, there will be some Crown Jewel review recorded after the show and attached to the Spotify and YouTube uploads. Let's talk Crown Jewel. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. Pre-show starts at 12 p.m. Eastern. So that's a good time for a lot of folks. Saturday afternoon for me. It's like a din time for the UK friends. To our friend Zane in the chat, I think that's like a prime time, like a 7 or an 8 p.m. So a good start time for everybody. In my opinion, anyway. I like Saturday afternoon wrestling. But we've got 8 matches, including the pre-show. We got Sami Zayn and JD McDonough on the pre-show. Sammy, I think, is going to go over there. I think it's crazy how far he's almost like being reset. He's still a star, but he's working the pre-show. But he's the star of Monday Night Raw, but he's working the pre-show here. I don't know. But Sammy over JD, I think, is the outcome here in this pre-show match. I would expect Judgment Day involvement of some kind at some point. Maybe not from every member of the stable, but I'd say at least from Dominic, maybe Finn Balor. I don't know about Priest. He might be a little focused. He's teasing the cash-ins once again. He even teased a cash-in on Roman Reigns, which is a fun scenario to consider. But anyway, Sami Zayn over JD McDonough is my prediction. Moving on, we've got Seth freaking Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. I got this down in my Raw notes because I did watch Raw, NXT, and SmackDown thanks to Hulu and Peacock this week. So I've got this in the notes. Drew McIntyre's whole angle that I can gather, thanks to some nice video package work, is basically, oh, poor me. My big moments happened during COVID, and everybody, because of that, things got taken from me. And then after that, I had a chance, and the bloodline took it from me. So everybody is taken, and I'm upset, and woe is me. And Seth Rollins came back out and was basically like, cry me a freaking river, bro. People died. I was like, wow, that was crazy to me. I don't know why it was crazy to me, but I thought it was a good turnaround. So Drew McIntyre is basically being portrayed as the whiny bitch heel who's upset that he had to succeed during COVID. And Seth Rollins is like, dude, people died. It's an interesting take, but it's one that's believable. Somebody to be a martyr about doing something like that during that sort of time. Kind of what Drew McIntyre is doing. I'm the martyr. I'm the one who had to succeed, be a champion everybody could be proud of during COVID. And Seth Rollins coming out being like, fuck you, buddy. People died. I dig it. But anyway, I think Seth Rollins retains the World Heavyweight Championship here. But I always offer like a wild card theory, wild card prediction. I do have one, and it involves the cashing in of the Money in the Bank, but we'll get into it after I finish with my predictions here. Women's 5-way. What do we got? We got Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and who the fuck's the other one? Oh man, who's the fifth one? Oh my goodness. Women's 5-way. Crown Jewel. I'm doing live on the live. Now, this happens on Dropkicks and Joysticks all the time. Sure. This ought to help. Let's see. Raquel Rodriguez. That's who I was forgetting. Sorry, Raquel. I forgot there. But anyway, I don't think Rhea Ripley's reign ends here. I don't think Rhea Ripley, I said this before, and I'm going to keep being bold with this. I don't think Rhea or Roman are going to lose before WrestleMania. And I said this about Roman last year, so I could be wrong again this year, but I think Rhea is going to make it to Perth, Australia, her home country, Elimination Chamber in February as the women's champion. On the flip side, though, I guess something to consider, because she is immensely popular and the Judgment Day does show cracks in the armor every so often, there is the possibility, I suppose, that Rhea Ripley could break away from the Judgment Day, kind of go back to being a babyface, and maybe lose the title before then to somebody that's been built up as a bigger heel, and then she takes it back at Elimination Chamber. I guess that is a possibility. A possibility, if you will. Let's see. Roman Reigns over LA Knight. I know a lot of people want to see LA Knight win it. It's a fun theory or a fun idea, but I just don't see it happening. Like I said, I'm not an LA Knight guy, so I'm a little biased there, but in terms of where the match is being booked, how it's being booked, LA Knight is going to look strong as hell after this. I think he's showing that he can hang, but he ain't going to be the WWE Universal Champion after today. And maybe I'll be wrong. We could have a segment attached at the end of this recording that says I'm wrong, but I don't think I will be. I think it's going to be Roman Reigns rolling out of Riyadh, what is it? South what? Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Is that how we say it? Riyadh? Is that even where they are? They're in Saudi. Whatever. He's going to roll out of there with the WWE Universal Championship. Somebody I don't think is going to roll out of Saudi Arabia with their championship is Rey Mysterio. That's right, folks. I think Logan Paul is going to win the United States Championship here today. I hope I'm wrong. Yes, Logan Paul plays a great heel. Yes, Logan Paul is taking to wrestling pretty fast. But no, I don't want Logan Paul as a champion. And it's inevitable. It's going to happen someday. I think that day might be today. One thing I said is that I want to start seeing him on the shows more. And ever since he finished his little Dylan Dennis boxing fiasco there, he's been on SmackDown, I'm pretty sure, every week. If Logan Paul is going to be a regular character, he's going to be a regular heel on the show, then sure, get it over with. And I think it's going to happen here today. And I think the other reason why I think it'll happen here today is because the crowd in Saudi will boo it, but I don't think they'll turn as hard on it as a crowd in the United States would. So I think Logan Paul defeats Rey Mysterio. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope to be admitting I'm wrong about that versus the LA Knight stuff later. Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. I got Cody going over there. That's my prediction. We're doing the usual sympathetic babyface thing, and Cody is just super duper over. And a common WWE booking with the Money in the Bank winner is they job him out a lot because with one little cash in is my imaginary briefcase. It's hanging right there. That's why I'm swinging it. See? Swinging my briefcase. You can't see it on Spotify. But anyway, with one cash in of a briefcase, you're back to being over again. So, Solo Sikoa and John Cena are going to go one-on-one, and I think Solo's going to walk away with the victory, especially in light of the fact that John Cena was able to knock Solo down. A common wrestling formula is the person that is the last man standing in the final confrontation before the actual match is typically not the one that is standing tall after the match. And John Cena has given a lot of speeches recently about questioning retirement, his career, whether he can still win the big one. And people are saying, oh, that means it's a guarantee that Cena's going to win. I don't think so. This actor's strike with SAG is still going on. So Cena's got more time to build stuff. I could see him putting over Solo here today and maybe sticking around to Survivor Series. Maybe they have a rematch there and he gets the win back there and they have another match. Maybe this could be a series, depending on how long things go. Or maybe Cena loses here, rematch at Survivor Series. Maybe that actor strike is resolved by then. Cena goes back away, but maybe Cena's able to come back in time for WrestleMania and we do a rubber match at WrestleMania. Just throwing some random fantasy booking out there, but I think Solo's going to get the win today. And if John Cena does get the win, I don't think it's going to be decisive. I think it's going to be sudden. I don't think it's going to be an AA or an STF. I think it's going to be like a roll-up or a small package or a count-out. Something that still casts some doubt over John Cena winning the big one, because he'll barely win if he wins. I think if he wins, he's going to barely win. There we go. Last match to predict as of right now. Let me just double check WWE's social medias to make sure nothing else has been announced as of right now. Nothing on their website. But we got Io Sky doing battle with Bianca Belair for the WWE Women's Championship. Is that what they call it over there? Yeah, WWE Women's Championship. All right, they haven't posted. Well, they're posting all the matches. Yep, they did it. Yeah, these are all the matches I've talked about here. Yep, we're doing good. All right, great. We're doing good. We're doing great. But Io Sky, Bianca Belair for the Women's Championship. I don't see a title changing hands in that one. Like I said, I think looking at this here, I think we got one title change for sure. I think Logan Paul is going to take that United States Championship at Crown Jewel, and I hope when I'm recording the review later on that I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, like I was saying, I was able to take in some WWE programming this week. So quick notes on all of that to kind of start wrapping up the podcast portion of our day here. I watched Monday Night Raw, the abridged version on Hulu. So my notes are kind of short, but overall, for what I saw, it was okay. Dominic Mysterio still has super heat. The Creed brothers showed up on Monday Night Raw and had one hell of a debut. They knocked off Alpha Academy. Very strong debut for the Creed brothers. I could see them being a foil for American Alpha, or those guys could form a major super stable and just like go after gold, like Olympic trained athletes going after gold kind of deal. Like they're an Olympic team in WWE. That could be fun. I noticed the Judgment Day still is dominating the airwaves. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The Monday Night Raw ratings are, a little shaky at times. People might be getting tired of Judgment Day. I don't know how other folks really feel, because everybody loves Rhea Ripley. So, I think everybody's happy as long as mommy's on screen, but maybe it's a little too much. They were definitely all over the abridged version of Monday Night Raw on Hulu. So I don't know, let's see. We got The Miz looking like he's gonna be going back to being a baby face again, because he basically got talked down to and talked through by Gunther. While we also showed the signs of Imperium continuing to crumble. There we go. What's his name? Giovanni Vinci. I liked his old name, Fabian Ochner. I like that better. But anyway, Giovanni Vinci spoke, and Miz made a big deal about it. And then the other guy, Kaiser, there told him to. Oh wait, no, he was Eichner. I forget both of their names. I changed both of their names. Anyway, Kaiser there told him, you talk when we tell you to talk. And so the Imperium thing keeps getting teased. Gunther came out and talked down to the Miz, said he's basically a clown and that he's beneath him. Miz fought with Imperium, and ultimately Gunther was the one standing tall. So I think we're going to see Gunther and Miz at some point. Miz is a babyface, doesn't always do it for me. Doesn't do it for long. He can do it good for a little bit. Sympathetic guy. He's a great family man, great father, husband, that whole bit. He can play it well, but it only works for so long. But if he's gonna get into a feud with Gunther, he claims he's gonna be the one to take the belt off him because he's the one who brought prestige to it years ago, and you got to give him some credit. He was one of the guys that helped restore the Intercontinental Championship years back. You got to give the Miz his due on that. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. What do we got here? Got to give credit to the video package work for the women's 5-way, and I talked about it before. The Drew McIntyre video package. All of those video packages were excellent work. The women's 5-way, it gives you a reason to look at each of the competitors and consider whether or not they are a contender, and they're all presented as contenders. Whether you like or dislike everybody in the match, the presentation was pretty freaking spot on, right? Same thing for Drew McIntyre's video package. Very well done, very well produced. It made him look like a whiny bitch. And then when Seth Rollins came out and countered it by basically saying, bro, cry us a river, people died, it made him look like even more of a whiny bitch. So very well done. Very well done. DIY's new theme sucks. I don't know if there's some sentimental attachment. A lot of times these crappy themes these guys come out to, people will be like, the song sucks, and they'll be like, yeah, well, I helped write the lyrics and they mean something to me. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess. That sucks. I'm sorry I said mean things about something you really love. I'm sorry. Like Alexa Bliss. Nobody really liked that theme song. And people dumped on it. And then she was like, oh, but those lyrics mean a little something to me, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll shut up then. Shayna Baszler caught flack for her theme change. I liked that one. It was different, but I liked it. But this DIY song, it's going to take some time to grow on me. Like Carlito's theme, that'll take forever to grow on me. How do you get better than Cool? How do you get better than that theme song? You don't. Same thing with how do you get better than Chrome Hearts, I believe was the original theme song, but they hate going back to those CFO themes. I think it's part of the licensing and royalties and shit like that. But this song sucks. That's what I wrote. Also looks like Xia Li is getting a push on Monday Night Raw again. It's funny because I just recently did a watch through in my day job, not watch through, but I've got it on listening every NXT takeover over the course of a couple of weeks. And we got to points where Xia Li was on the card, and I'm like, how did WWE mess up with Xia Li? Even if her English isn't the best, you pair a mouthpiece with her. She has every other piece you want. She's physically fit. She's got a great look. She has great gear. She worked well in the ring. Her character was interesting, and they always seem to drop the ball with her. I wondered who Mei Ying was. Turns out that was Wendy Chu. Whatever happened to that girl? The one that used to fall asleep on NXT. She's gone, but she was the old lady. That whole deal was great. The old lady and the fucking dude in the sunglasses. What happened there? Why? What happened? But apparently Xia Li is getting a push again because she's knocking people out. People thought the knockout was legit. And then Candice was shown on camera later on selling the knockout. So, I think it's playing back to when she did actually knock out Mercedes Martinez during an episode of NXT way back. She legitimately KO'd Mercedes. But speaking of NXT and all that stuff, watched night 2 of Halloween Havoc. Really great ladder match, or tables, ladders, and scares with the Creed brothers and Los Lotharios. But my question is why? I haven't been watching recently, but I tried looking. Why were these guys having a TLC match? Why? Is it just because it was Halloween Havoc? What were the stakes? What was going on? Like, what was the reason for these guys putting themselves through this? Because the last time I paid attention, and the last time I looked, the Creed brothers had been wrapped up with Schism and then the tag team championship picture, none of which involved Los Lotharios. Very, very confused. What happened? Great match. They took a lot of crazy bumps. I love the Brutus ball finish that they do. Very innovative, like a dude in a cannonball with a doomsday device. I like it. I'd never seen him do it before. Somehow I never saw him do it. But that was a very cool move. But my question is why? Why did we do that? Why was that a match? Somebody can explain that to me, why they had that match, because I couldn't find it. If it's justified why they were doing it, and fuck me, man. But I didn't even see steaks. Not only do I like a juicy steak, I like steaks in my wrestling match. Tiffany Stratton beat the fuck out of Fallon Henley. That was cool. Tiffany Stratton's going to be a star. She already is. But she's going to be a main roster star. Eventually, she's going to make her way to the main roster. She's going to be a star up there. She is just gets better every time I see her. The Barbie doll look, the Barbie doll attitude, she got the whole Barbie doll thing down, and she's a vicious bitch on top of it. And I that's not insulting. That for the character she's playing, that she's nailing it. She's vindictive. I love it. It's all because Fallon Henley cosplayed her for Halloween. She did her own Tiffany Stratton, and she was like, "That's it, I'm done." Lost her mind. And she did the corner figure 4. Ever since Bret Hart did that in 97, I'm like, oh, I love that move. I used to do that move in wrestling. So Tiffany Stratton automatically gets points for doing the corner figure 4. Let's see, where are we at here? I said, all set with these 2023 WCW segments. So I watched 0% of Noam Dar and his crew looking like Scooby-Doo going to look for Tozawa. I had no interest in any of that shit. I skipped over basically anything with people in a Halloween costume. I skipped over it. I wasn't interested. Dominic Mysterio won his match, and then Wesley returned. As I understand it, Wesley had quit NXT, and now he's back, obviously, to engage with Dominic Mysterio. Because originally, I think things involved Mysterio, Ali, and Wesley, but then Mustafa Ali got released. So I think that kind of put Wesley's plans on hold. So now I think he's going to get back into the picture. Probably we'll see him ending up with the North American title again. But he and Dominic seem to work well together. Dominic gets massive heat wherever he goes. So that'll be fun to see. I mentioned this on Twitch during, I think, last weekend shows or a different show. But I said I like the dynamic of Chase U and JC Jane, especially where JC helped Chase U get into that battle royal, and then they go on to win the tag team championship, because I said, now Chase University kind of owes JC. Interesting. I said I like that perspective. Well, on this show, JC says, you kind of owe me one. But not only does Andre Chase owe JC Jane one, apparently he owes the family one, because they come over and they start talking. And what's the other? I can't think of the other guy's name in the tag team for Chase U that are champions. I think he's Australian. Hudson? The Duke Hudson? Yeah, I think it's Duke Hudson. Duke Hudson says, oh, don't worry, guys. You'll get your rematch. And Tony D'Angelo says, yeah, that too. So something is going on here. Like, it's got me immediately intrigued on the NXT side. What's going on with the family, Chase University, and JC Jane? I think we got ourselves a fun little web forming there. And, thanks to next day streaming rights for NXT on Peacock, that's the one I can keep up with. And Monday Night Raw and SmackDown are on Hulu the next day also, but they're abridged versions. NXT is the full show. Let's move along here. Where are we at? Oh, Braun Breaker beat up Robert Stone, the former Robbie E. And then Von Wagner came out with his head wrapped in a bandage because it got crushed by the ring steps so many weeks back. Snooze. Is this just filler time for Braun Breaker until they can call him up to the main roster? Because, like, this angle's stupid. Braun Breaker is way better than whatever we're doing here. I don't know what we're doing here. But Braun Breaker is better than it. I'll tell you that much. 110%. That coffee's almost done, baby. That coffee's almost done. And so are my results for NXT. What right there? Oh, for a guy who hates his dad, Lexus King looks a lot like Brian Pillman. Just dressing like him? He's kind of conducting himself a little bit like Brian Pillman without being a loose cannon. Like, interesting. But I'm excited for his future in WWE. I think it's going to be a good time. So yeah, we get some AEW TV notes. I'm going to roll through these because I didn't watch AEW. So I'm just reading the results and kind of writing stuff down. I don't have live TV. AEW doesn't post an abridged version on Hulu or anything like that. So I have no way of taking in the program right now. So this is just what I saw. There was a segment with MJF and Adam Cole where Adam Cole gets disconnected, then the Devil's on screen. So we're still doing those Devil teases. If you have a theory on who the Devil might be, drop it in the comments. I have no theories because I'm not watching. If Adam Cole wasn't injured, I would say the fact that Adam Cole disconnected and then the Devil appears could be a sign that Adam Cole's the Devil. But since he is injured, I say, what if Adam Cole getting disconnected and the Devil appearing means the Devil actually did something to Adam Cole? Let's see. Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley continued their feud. I feel like they're just trying to get back on track with these guys after all the various injuries. Moxley came out after the match that Cassidy had with Claudio, and they brawled around. I'm not going to be shocked if Moxley takes back the international title from Orange Cassidy. They continue the feud, and then at World's End, Cassidy gets the win that I believe he was supposed to get all along. I think the whole idea was that Jon Moxley beats Orange Cassidy because Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club's thing is to make everybody the best versions of themselves, right? So Jon Moxley beats Orange Cassidy, and then Orange Cassidy beats Moxley for the belt again and continues another reign. Moxley goes off to do something else. But as we all know, things got completely screwed along the way. Moxley got hurt. Phoenix got hurt. Cassidy gets the belt back. It's all crazy, bananas out there stuff. But I think that's what's going on here. So I wouldn't be surprised if at Full Gear, if Moxley is even cleared, he must be if he was brawling. Moxley takes back the International Championship, and then Cassidy takes back the title at World's End. Throwing it out there. Wardlow is stalking MJF, and the interesting dynamic there is MJF's a babyface now. Will he try to atone for his actions with Wardlow to try and spare himself from the wrath, or will he just accept it? Who knows? That could be interesting. I like this Wardlow, the repackaging of Wardlow, where he is obsessed with the man who took everything from him, that man being MJF, because MJF did take a lot from Wardlow. Took a whole shitload from him. Namely, he took away that big moment he should have had beating MJF. It wasn't as big as it could have been. Very interesting dynamic. AEW's using the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team belts to build a tag team or to build the singles feud. I don't like that at all. The Brian Cage and Gates of Agony team beat the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page because Hangman was brawling with Swerve, which is the primary feud here. I don't like that. And then after the match, Matt Jackson, it was Matt, right? Yeah, Matt has a little shit fit a la Jericho 97, WCW, throwing chairs around and shit. Later on, has a confrontation with Kenny Omega, basically saying, hey, I thought the Elite got back together, but we're not working together. And he's got a point there. So I think things are going to come to a head between Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page at some point. And I think it could be that the Young Bucks maybe turn. Or maybe, they all turn. Who knows? I'm not really paying tons of attention. Adam Copeland finally speared Christian and agreed to team with Sting and Darby Allin at Full Gear. So it's going to be Sting, Darby Allin, and Adam Copeland against Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne in a 6-man tag team match. That ought to be good. I'm sure it'll be great. Sting is officially on his retirement tour leading into Revolution next year, which will either be in February or March of 2024. Copeland finally willing to fight Christian after kind of resisting, and we all knew that we were going to get there. So they'll have their match. I'd say the big swerve that could come out of that is Copeland actually turning on Sting and Darby. I think I would like that. Edge is the veteran babyface at this point. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Look at me. If you hang out with me at all, you know that I love my heels, but certain guys are just better at it. And I don't know. I could see AEW pulling that swerve. I could see AEW pulling the swerve of Copeland, the rated R superstar, turning on Sting and Darby. I mean, hey, if Sting's final match at Revolution were to be Adam Copeland versus Sting, I'd be fine with that. That'd be fun. Speaking of final matches, though, Paul White coming out. That was worrying. I think he's definitely going to work the Andre 88, 89, 90 style, where he's going to just kind of stand in one spot. He's going to be in an 8-man tag. It's going to be Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Kota Ibushi, and Paul White, the Big Show, against the Don Callis family, whoever the hell's in that. But I thought the poor guy's hip was going to collapse on itself, and a lot of people are saying nasty things, and I don't want to say the nasty things, but as a fan of the guys since he debuted, it was just concerning. That's all. I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but my oh my, something didn't look right. Maybe something happened when he was walking up. I don't know, man. But that was concerning. Yeah, that was concerning. So I wrote a note down because I don't know the order of all this, but I said Willow Nightingale was on the show. I wish I had seen this so I know if her black eye paint is growing like Sky Blue's has been, because I think they both got hit with mist by Julia Hart, who's been missing from the show, but she reappears during the show. So I was like, oh, I wish I could see, if her eye thing is growing, because Sky Blue's had been growing every single week. And I was like, oh, they got to join the House of Black and kind of be under Julia's rule. Well, Sky Blue reappeared, and she spit blue mist at Julia Hart, so I don't think they're all going to be friends. I don't think they're all going to be friends. I don't think they're going to be friends at all. Because because Sky Blue is spitting blue mist, Julia Hart's spitting black mist. It's crazy. Everybody's spitting mist everywhere. Asuka's spitting mist over on WWE. We got a bunch of great Muta fans over here. We love it. Love it. It's fantastic. The last note I had for AEW Dynamite was MJF finally chose the Acclaimed, and then they lost. And then after the match, Jay White went to hit MJF with the World Heavyweight Championship, but Max Caster got in the way, took the bullet, so to speak, and ultimately it led to everybody doing some scissoring after a loud and profane scolding by Billy Gunn to MJF. Oh my. He was basically like, after everything he fucking did for you, you're gonna motherfucking scissor him or something like that. They bleeped one, but they missed an F-bomb. And then the four of them scissored, and it was a fun little moment of MJF kind of opening himself up more to have more friends. But I have a feeling Roderick Strong is going to use that to his advantage in manipulating Adam Cole. I think he'll be like, look, he made new friends without you. He doesn't need you anymore. He made new friends. But where are your friends, Adam? Adam! Like I said earlier, we watched SmackDown, little bits and pieces. For what I could gather, because it was a pre-tape show, it was just a lot of Crown Jewel build. Let's see. In the notes here, I wrote, I don't like champions losing in non-title matches because Shotzi and Charlotte got the win over Piper and Chelsea. Not a big fan of that at all. In the spoiler notes, it said that there was supposed to be a promo with Scarlett, Karrion Kross, and Shotzi. That intrigued me. I don't know if it actually happened. I don't see any notes of it, so maybe it didn't. B-Fab approached Bobby Lashley and asked to talk, and my note says, please put B-Fab with Lashley's crew. As you all know, I'm a big fan of B-Fab. I think she's got a great look. I think she's got a long ways to go in the ring. But in terms of her look and as a man, I love me a nice thigh, and she showcases that. She's pretty. She's just pretty. That's all I could say. She's pretty. I like beef. And if she's going to join Lashley's crew and that means more B-Fab on my screen, I'm A-okay with it. I remember when Hit Row turned heel. I wrote on Twitter, X, whatever. I said, all right, well, at least now we have a reason to boo Hit Row. I said, but I can't boo B-Fab. And she actually liked that tweet. That was kind of fun. Let's see. We already talked about the Solo and Cena thing. We talked about Bianca and Io being announced. Roman and LA Knight had a verbal sparring on SmackDown. I guess security kept it from getting physical, but they traded some barbs back and forth ahead of their match, which will take place later on today as I sit here and record. The event is less than 4 hours away from starting. The pre-show starts at 12, so less than 3 hours if you count the pre-show. The main card, less than 4 hours away. And as I said at the top of the show, there will be a segment attached to this recording, this video and audio on Spotify, video on YouTube. There will be a review of Crown Jewel attached to this. I don't know if it'll be live or not, but it will be attached at the very least for the uploads. The last thing that I want to cover here on the Week in Wrestling before I sign off for the show is the discourse around the AEW shows that took place this week. Apparently, there's a lot of doom and gloom. Now, the Ric Flair signing is obviously a very controversial topic. It is dividing their fan base right now. Even the most hardcore of fans are saying, wait a minute, pump the brakes, this isn't good. Why are we signing Ric Flair? And that's a whole different discussion. But I've also seen a lot of folks, apparently, a lot of discourse that this week's show, as it was presented, sucked. And for what I read, it didn't seem like a real great show. So they're saying basically for what they got, the show sucked. AEW is going to die. It's the end, blah, blah, blah. At the top of this show, we talked about a little brand called Impact that is rebranding as TNA Wrestling. They have done a number of shitty shows and they have been around for 20 plus years. They've done a number of great shows, but they have also had a period of time, Vince Russo era, where everything was fucking terrible. WWE has had periods of time that are freaking terrible. Like, I guess we'd call it the new generation, like, 93, 94, 95, the occupational era. I love a lot of that shit, but it was not a great era. Even Monday Night Raw produces terrible, terrible, terrible episodes sometimes, and everybody still survives. So the point that I want to close on here today, this brief little rant, is stop rooting for the failures of other professional wrestling companies. Unless there's a valid reason to root for their failures, like this company out of New York, New Jersey area, Capital Championship Wrestling, that was stealing from their talent, using their likeness to make money, photoshopping bigger wrestlers to make them look smaller so they could look sexier and that sort of shit. Root for the failures of those people, but stop sitting here with the doomsday theories about everything with wrestling. Oh my God, one bad show, even a series of bad shows. 6 months of bad shows means that it's all going to come to an end. Nope, it's not. It's not going to come to an end. It just means shit's not that great right now. Go find a different flavor of ice cream to enjoy. There's plenty of wrestling out there. That's the problem. People get so focused in on what they hate instead of focusing on how much wrestling there is out there to consume for free, even. For free. Bunch of indie promotions that are not on Fight, that are not on independent wrestling TV, that just put their product out there for free. Go consume some of that shit. There's some good shit out there. But so much doomsday talk. I think because, I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't like how brazen AEW has been. Maybe they don't like the style of AEW. Maybe they don't like some of the talents. I don't know. And the same thing goes for people that always wish for WWE to finally crumble and die. I don't know why you would wish for that. It's so weird. So very absolutely weird. So very absolutely weird. But that concludes my talk on the week in wrestling. It was a fun week in wrestling for what I was able to consume and in the news stories. And we've got Crown Jewel coming up later on. So, in terms of Spotify and YouTube, hang tight. We're going to fast forward a little bit into the future in just a few moments, and we'll give you some Crown Jewel review. But otherwise, that concludes the week in wrestling. Dropkicks and Joysticks now drops every Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern, YouTube and Spotify. And that's because I couldn't stop recording those shows so far in advance. Now I record it on a Monday. It gets posted on a Wednesday. Bada bing, bada boom. Nice short window. We love a nice short window. The Week in Wrestling is going to post on Saturdays or Sundays. Kind of depends on whenever I get it together. It's a bonus episode. It's a bonus episode of Dropkicks and Joysticks, so you will find it in those respective feeds. You'll find it on YouTube in the Dropkicks and Joysticks playlist, and you'll also find it on Spotify within that feed. Welcome back. We're in the future now. For those of you listening on YouTube and Spotify, it's like we just went a few seconds in the future. But for those of you that were here earlier today, live on Twitch, it's a few hours in the future. But we are coming to you on the heels of WWE Crown Jewel, fresh in the books, just went down a few minutes ago. We're live here to talk about it. And this will be included with the Week in Wrestling, as I said, on YouTube and Spotify. So it's all over the place. We're recording this live. You might be watching it on YouTube. You might be listening on Spotify, but whatever. It's the Week in Wrestling. It's the Crown Jewel review that we promised way earlier in the past. Now that we're in the future and Crown Jewel has happened, we can talk about it. Sami Zayn and JD McDonough opened up the show. First off, before I even get into those matches, I want to talk a quick point here. I always talk about gambling professional wrestling because DraftKings does it, Bet Online does it. There's a bunch of different places that do it. if ever there was a day I should have thrown down some money and made some bets, it would have been today, because somebody that bets tells me something like getting everything right can still win you some money. I was a perfect 8 for 8 today in the prediction game, let me tell you. 100% correct. Not a single match I called wrong. I had a wild card prediction that I said I was going to share earlier today. I never even got around to sharing it, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have immediately regretted it as soon as I knew that Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre were going to open the show, because my prediction, my wild card for the event, was that Drew would actually beat Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then the world would take from him again as Damian Priest cashed in his Money in the Bank. That's not what happened. Obviously, we'll talk about that in a minute, but Sami Zayn and JD McDonough opened the show. I was driving when this match happened. I was still on my way back from where I had to be after this morning's show. So I listened to that one in the car. And when I was in wrestling, a wrestler whose name I will not use just because I don't got any respect for him anymore, but irrelevant. He once said that if you can't see a match, take it in for what you can hear. How does the crowd sound? How does the ring sound? How does everything sound together? So for what I could hear, the match sounded pretty good. I got home right in time to see Sami Zayn kick JD McDonough's head off with a haluva kick. So Sami Zayn went over to kick off the show. So, sounded like a mighty fine opener, but 1-for-1 at that point in time as Sami Zayn gets the win. The next match kicking off the pay-per-view itself was Seth freaking Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre. I thought these guys did a really, really great job of beating the hell out of each other. Drew did a lot of good back work, lots of nasty bumps for Seth Rollins and his back. But in the end, Seth Rollins was able to retain the championship. I'll tell you one moment that actually got a loud, audible whoa was the Claymore kick. The Claymore kick that almost got a 3 count. I actually let out a scream here in the office as I sat and did some work and watched Crown Jewel earlier today. But Seth Rollins wins. After the match, we got Damian Priest coming down, teasing a cash-in. But before he can officially cash in, a hooded man revealed to be Sami Zayn comes in, attacks Damian Priest, and steals his Money in the Bank briefcase. So now Sami Zayn is on the run with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Damian Priest did not get to cash in. Seth Rollins keeps his World Heavyweight Championship and lives to fight another day. Now, the back issues thing is being played up in virtually every situation Seth Rollins finds himself in. So now the question becomes, when is his back going to quote unquote give out? If what Drew McIntyre did tonight was not enough for Seth Rollins to fall and lose the World Heavyweight Championship, what is it going to take in the long run? That's my only concern out of how heavy the attacks were tonight. Is now, does that mean Seth's going to lose it soon? Are we going to play up an injury? What's going to happen? That's the only issue I have coming out of that match. Is I feel like we're overdoing the back stuff to the point where a person should be very, very injured at this point. There should be no dancing around. There should be no strutting to the ring or anything like that. It should be a case of Seth Rollins is pretty damn fucked up. I got my notes all over the place because I was doing some recordings during the pay-per-view and can't leave full screen. So I started off in a notepad that I was going to print, but I forgot that I disconnected my printer to put all that back there when we're doing live broadcasts. So I don't have a printer to print to. So I got some notes here on my phone. And then I got some notes on some old school sticky pads, and we'll make some noise with that so you can hear my sticky pads there. Sticky pads, old school. Like we got new school, old school. We got it all going on here. So let's see. Before we get into the 5-way women's match, we see Drew McIntyre backstage looking very dejected, and Rhea Ripley walks up to him and basically they kind of share a glance, and you got to wonder, is Drew McIntyre maybe considering a jump into the Judgment Day? Could be interesting with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre both wanting to be world heavyweight champion. That could be an interesting dynamic. Or maybe, Priest cashes in and Balor and McIntyre start teaming. I don't know. Could be interesting. The women's match, 5-way, for what I got to see, was awesome. I had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the match. I hit pause. I went up to go to the bathroom. I come downstairs. Peacock is closed. I go back in. The match is over. So for what I saw, it was great. Shayna Baszler looked like $1 million. That 3-way submission. I almost feel like Zoe Stark was a little late coming in to break that up because it seemed like it went on for too long. But I also felt like Zoe Stark might have bumped her head and she might have been a little dazed. I don't know. I'm not in that match. Maybe everything went as designed, but that did feel like it went on a little long. Everybody's full body attires they had to wear were pretty cool looking. Shayna Baszler came out in her gi with the black belt, and I like that they played that up. They were saying, she's wearing the black belt, so she means business here tonight. I thought that was a nice little touch by the commentary team. Speaking of commentary, Byron Saxton was on ring announcing tonight. Not bad. Not bad at all. Got some good chops on him as a ring announcer. Now, I'm an older fan, so, many people may not make the comparison I'm about to make, but it's not a great one. I mean, the guy was good, but his story is very clouded. For a hot second, I thought we had Mel Phillips doing the ring announcing. And if you look up Mel Phillips and WWF allegations, you can see all the stories for yourself. I don't need to get into them. They're kind of gross in terms of, what was accused. And I don't remember the specifics right now, so I don't want to falsely state anything, but it's not exactly a name that's held in high regard. Again, I'm an older fan. I'll be 39 in January, so chances are, current fans are not going to make that cross distinction, but taking that out of the equation, Mel Phillips was a pretty good ring announcer. In fact, I've been doing some WWE old school watch back on Peacock, and he ring announced at some of the Madison Square Garden events, and, he was good then too. But Byron did really good on the ring announcing. So I did read that the finish of the Rhea Ripley match involved a riptide off the ropes using one body onto another body kind of deal, pinfall 1, 2, 3. But either way, I knew that Rhea wasn't going to lose the belt. Even with 5, we stacked the odds against Mommy. It doesn't matter to me because I've been bold enough to say it with Rhea Ripley this year, just like I was with Roman. And funny enough, he's still champion. But last year I said Roman wasn't going to lose until at least WrestleMania. And this year, I've been saying that about Rhea Ripley. So feed me any match you want. The only one that might get me questioning ahead of time is Jade Cargill. And that's because of they're just treating her like a superstar right out of the gate. If Jade comes after Rhea, I might be mildly concerned for the Women's World Championship. But if not, then I don't see Rhea losing until WrestleMania, especially where Elimination Chamber is going to be in Perth. The only situation that I said I could see would be if Rhea were to split from the Judgment Day, kind of embrace the popularity, kind of become a babyface again, and then chase the belt and have that big moment where she wins it back in her hometown, or I should say in her home country of Australia. But either way, I don't think she's losing until WrestleMania, at the very least. If we keep Rhea Ripley the way she is now, not until WrestleMania. After that, we had John Cena and Solo Sikoa. Now, I had a feeling Solo was going to win. I didn't realize that Solo was going to beat John Cena so hard that it was going to harken memories back to SummerSlam 2014, when Brock Lesnar squashed John Cena to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Solo squashed Cena today. And Wade Barrett said he stopped counting. I tried to keep a count. I got 11 on the Samoan spikes. 11 Samoan spikes, maybe more. I counted 11. Solo gets the biggest win of his career. Cena was being treated as if maybe he was going to retire. I don't think John Cena retires in Saudi Arabia. To be frankly honest, I don't think that happens there. I don't think John Cena calls it a career in Saudi Arabia. I think he calls it a career somewhere in the States, maybe in Massachusetts, maybe in Boston even though, he lives in Florida now. But, West Newbury, Massachusetts has always been his base. Or maybe, a WrestleMania, a SummerSlam. It's going to be a bigger marquee event. It's going to be a bigger moment. I don't see John Cena just riding off quietly into the sunset without there being a major injury. Like Steve Austin was being forced out due to major injury. He didn't want any pomp and circumstance. He just wanted to go. If Cena is choosing to retire, I don't think he's choosing today. Despite how they treated it and despite all of that, I don't see that being the case. So I don't think we have to worry about John Cena retiring here today. I think that's not a worry. Not a worry here. So at this point, we're 4 for 4 in our predictions. And at this point, I went up and got a snack because Miz TV, Grayson Waller effects, some local celebrity from Saudi Arabia. In my notes, I wrote down he's apparently well-rounded business owner, best actor, comedian, some other junk. Everybody seemed to really like him. So kudos. Awesome. But I skipped it. Similar to those Halloween Havoc skits, I skipped this because I didn't know who the guy was. Whatever. They bring in a local celebrity because they're in Saudi Arabia. That's fine. Whatever. After that, let's see. We go to our sticky notes. Because we got Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. Son of a fucking bitch. I am sad to say that I was right. Logan Paul is your new United States champion. He had one hell of an entrance into the stadium. Rey Mysterio had a nice entrance. The match was a little too botchy for my liking. Logan Paul is very much about stunts, not so much about wrestling. His registering still sucks. He doesn't sell stuff well. He's green as fuck. He can do the stunts very well, but he's not a good wrestler. And I think today was a glaring example of it, especially when he nearly let Rey Mysterio land on his freaking head. I think Logan was gassed at various points in this match, and it showed. And if he wasn't gassed, he made himself look gassed, and it didn't look good. I wasn't impressed with this match. I tried to be a fan of it, but it was basically stunt after stunt after stunt attempt. Some of them were very sloppy looking. Some of them came out pretty good, but some of them were very sloppy. The finish came out very well. I don't know who that turd was that came out with the brass knuckles. I thought for a minute Santos was going to turn. In fact, in my notes, I wrote, Santos going to turn, ... Nah. The finish itself, I'll give the finish some credit. The knuckles got left on the apron. Logan Paul set up for the 619. He grabs the knuckles. Boom. Fucking knocks out Rey Mysterio. Son of a bitch. But even as I said here in my notes, the match wasn't great. Stunts over story. Then there was some weird post-match appreciation thing where Logan's trying to be a sportsman, but Rey Mysterio's like, you know what you did. You know what you did. I understand why WWE did what they did here. I get it. I'm not dumb. I understand why the WWE decided to put the United States title on Logan Paul. He's got a hell of a reach. It's a mid-card title. But if he's going to be a champion, I sure hope he's going to be around SmackDown. because if he's going to be a part-time guy, then that's another champion on SmackDown that isn't there all the time. And I don't think WWE needs another one of those, especially with the idea that Roman Reigns is done for the rest of the year. After today, the reports going around is that Roman is not going to work Survivor Series. He's not going to work whatever happens in December. He's not going to work again until the Royal Rumble. Now, that's only 2 months, but that's 2 months where he's probably not going to be on SmackDown every week. He's probably only going to be there a handful of times. I was about to say we, like I work there. I don't think the WWE needs another one of those, but whatever. It is what it is. Moving along in the card, we had Io Sky and Bianca Belair. Again, the full body suits, really awesome. Io Sky's entrance is so badass. I know it's just a bunch of white lights in a dark room and strobed out and everything, but it's fantastic. Her theme song is fantastic. I love everything about it. These two had a good match. Nice back and forth, competitive. Bianca Belair played to her strengths. Io Sky played to hers. Bayley came out, and Io wasn't very happy to see her there when she finally saw her there. Bayley tries to pay dividends at various points by running distractions, but ultimately, it's Kairi Sane making a return to the WWE, coming in and assisting Io Sky and attacking Bianca Belair at ringside, nearly causing a countout, but Bianca rolls in at the very last second. Io jumps up to the top rope, hits a moonsault, 1, 2, 3. Love that finish. That was fantastic. They had me hook, line, and sinker. I thought we were actually going to have a cheap countout finish for this women's title match. And ultimately, Bianca Belair, the valiant hero of the situation, rolls back into the ring, but the villainous champion is already up on the top rope and hits the moonsault, 1, 2, 3. Now, what was very interesting is what happened after the match. Apparently, and I think I knew this and forgot, maybe it's fresh information, but Kairi and Io Sky used to be tag team partners in Japan. I feel like I knew that, but I forgot it. Because I feel like I remember it being mentioned recently when I was watching back the NXT takeovers. So, fresh information, forgotten information, either way, okay, cool. So, is Kairi Sane joining Damage Control? Au contraire, Michael Cole is sure to point out to us that the last time Kairi Sane was in the WWE as an active competitor, she was injured and forced out of the company by none other than Bayley. And Bayley looked like she had seen a ghost when Kairi Sane was embracing with Io Sky in the ring. So that just became a very, very interesting dynamic for Damage Control and Kairi Sane. What's going to happen with Io Sky and Kairi? What's going to happen with Damage Control? Where's Dakota Kai going to fall? Is it going to become Dakota and Bayley against Kairi and Io eventually? A lot of possibilities here, my friends. I definitely like it. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm definitely here for it. And I like Kairi Sane, so it's nice to see her back in the WWE fold once again. Move that sticky note aside and let's pick up our next one. Yeah, the next one right here. It's upside down for you, but it's okay. At this point, we're 6 for 6 on the card for the WWE Crown Jewel card. 6 for 6 on the card. On the card. Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest. It was all the gaga you'd expect from a Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest match at this point in the game. Money in the Bank winners are also jobbers. Cody Rhodes is on his path to finishing the story, as they keep reminding us. So, unfortunately for Damian Priest, he was always losing this match, in my opinion. It was a fine match, though. I love Damian Priest's Undertaker tribute attire. Essentially, that's what it looks like anyway. Ministry Taker. Cody Rhodes was his usual Cody Rhodes self. We get the loud whoa when he did the theme song. Good match. all the gaga you would expect. In the end, Cody Rhodes hits a bunch of crossroads. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And then we move on. Did I write down anything other than that? Cody got a win because Money in the Bank winners are jobbers or also jobbers. Oh yeah, this was something. I said the crowd really wanted tables tonight. I noticed in a number of matches, whether tables were allowed or not, I felt like I kept hearing tables chants. Tables, tables, tables. I don't know that they delivered on any tables either, though. That's the funny part. Huh. Yeah, I don't think there were any tables bumps. Maybe there was in the women's match when the Peacock shut down on me. But anyway, we move along to our final one as my vocal cords are starting to kick out there. Wow, that was like a horse. But anyway, Anyway, we've done a lot of talking today. What can I say? We move on to our main event of the evening for Crown Jewel. And I know a lot of people thought they should pull the trigger on LA Knight. Some people thought it was a certainty that LA Knight was going to win, but I, for one, never had a doubt. I'm not an LA Knight guy. I've been very transparent about that. I don't really, the act doesn't do it for me. It's over, though. He's very charismatic. He's got a great look. He's good in the ring. Just not my cup of tea. That's it. Like, I'm not hating on LA Knight at all. If LA Knight were to win a major championship, I'm not going to sit here and boo it. But I knew it wasn't happening today. There was no way it was happening today. Roman Reigns, after he didn't lose to Cody at WrestleMania, I started saying it again. He ain't losing until 40 then. So there was no way Roman was going to lose. He wasn't going to lose in Saudi Arabia. The same reason I suspect that Logan Paul won a United States championship in Saudi Arabia is the same reason I suspect that they booked LA Knight's big championship match in Saudi Arabia, and that's crowd rejection at the result. The crowd wasn't going to reject Logan Paul as heavily in Saudi Arabia as they may have at a United States event. The same can be said for LA Knight losing in Saudi Arabia versus losing in, say, Chicago or LA or Boston or New York. The response may have been a hell of a lot different if it was done domestically versus internationally. The match was fine. All the usual bloodline stuff that you come to expect with a Roman Reigns match. I mean, it was not one of his better title defenses, his best. If we were going to make a DVD later, I don't think we would include it, a DVD. If we were going to do a digital collection later, there we go, that's 2023. If we were going to do a digital collection of it, I don't think I would include it. If we did the anthology of his title defenses, well, it was number 29, apparently. But we did the near fall thing, trying to make us believe and all that. But, for me, there was no believing ever. I never bought into the hype. I never believed that Roman stood a chance in hell of losing. Something major, major, major would have had to happen. But it wasn't happening. Because it wasn't LA Knight's time. Definitely was not LA Knight's time. Wasn't his day. He was super over. I'll give him that. But there was never any doubt in my book. Enjoyed this more than Jay at SummerSlam. Ty in the chat. Enjoyed Crown Jewel more than the Jay turn at SummerSlam. Cool beans. Cool beans. Cool beans. My brain is so fuzzy that I couldn't tell you if I enjoyed this more than SummerSlam. I think I'd have to watch SummerSlam again. I watch a lot of wrestling too. I don't just watch the current stuff. I watch old stuff all the time. Like this past week in the office during the day job, we got NXT TakeOver. We were finishing up ECW Hardcore TV. Doing old WWE syndicated events from gotcha. See, that's what I'm saying. Like I would have had to go back and watch that. Yes, I would agree with you there. Roman and LA Knight was a better match than Roman and Jay. Now that you refresh me, that was Tribal Combat. I remember saying something didn't click in that one, and it just went on and on and on. And the Jimmy turn, that's where Jimmy turned. Thank you, Ty. I appreciate you coming along and refreshing me. Like I said, I watch so much wrestling, old and current, that the current stuff doesn't really stand a good chance of sticking around long in the old noodle up here, which already has problems retaining short-term retention. Long-term, I'm still okay. That short-term is out there. But yeah, I will definitely agree with the sentiment that this was better than Roman versus Jay, but I still like, just because there was no, why I wouldn't rank it as one of his best is because there was no drama to it, really. There was no real believability at any point in time, for me anyway, that Roman was in danger. I didn't see it. As much as they tried to hammer it home, I didn't see it. It just wasn't happening for me. But you're right, it was better than SummerSlam. If it does turn out to be Roman's last title match of the year, for Roman anyway, it was a success. I really hope that, I would at least hope he does Survivor Series. I don't know. Whatever. They're going to do whatever they want with Roman, and we're all going to just sit back and complain about it online and he'll wrestle again and whatever. But I'd like to see him do at least one more before the Rumble. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Overall, Crown Jewel was a pretty enjoyable show. I mean, if you missed it live, I'd say go back and give it a watch. I would say, for my opinions, the worst match of the day was Ray and Logan, and that was just because I found it to be a little too spotty and some of the stuff to be real sloppy. I think Rey Mysterio did his best with a guy that's had 8 matches total. But I just didn't enjoy it. But overall, though, I think it was a very fine show. I got to go back and rewatch the ending of the women's match because the Peacock app shut down on me. And then because I was, doing a little bit of driving, on the way back, I missed Sammy and JD, so I got to go back and watch that. But that one sounded good. And for what I saw, the women's match, it also sounded good. So from here, WWE moves on to Survivor Series, which I believe is Survivor Series. When is Survivor Series? What's the date on? Oh, wow. That's funny. I put the Challenge 64 Survivor Series up against the real Survivor Series. I think I'm going to have to change the time and date of that one. I can't have my video game Survivor Series going up against the actual Survivor Series, or can I? Maybe I can. Yeah, JT, I had seen that it was Riptide off the ropes, but one body on another body kind of deal. A couple things in that match had some timing off in the women's match. But overall, for what I saw anyway, I liked it. I really, like I said a little while ago before you got here, or maybe you were listening in, that Shayna Baszler looked great in this match. I was a big fan of how she got treated. Definitely a big fan of how she got treated. But yeah, overall, Crown Jewel was a good show. From here, we move on to Survivor Series, Saturday, November 25th. They ran a bunch of ads for it. It will feature War Games. Looks like it'll be men and women. Word up, buddy. Looks like it'll be the men and the women engaging in War Games. So over the next 3 weeks, we got to figure out who's going to be in those teams. Will it be Raw versus SmackDown? Will it be stables that are feuding? Could it be the Judgment Day against somebody? Could it be the Bloodline against somebody? I don't know. I don't think that far ahead. I really don't. But on that note, this was a live podcast recording, second half of one, in fact, as I said at the top. So we just wanted to come back and offer the crown jewel results and review so I can attach it all together, like cram it all together like a nice little sandwich. And it'll be available on YouTube and Spotify. Maybe later, tomorrow, like the Weekend Wrestling bonus episodes of Dropkicks and Joysticks has no set time. It might get posted on a Saturday. It might get posted on a Sunday. It's the floating bonus episode. But Dropkicks and Joysticks, bam, over there at youtube.com/Bloody Bill Vaux, or here if you're watching on YouTube, or there if you're watching on Twitch, or there if you're listening on Spotify. But that's where you can get Dropkicks and Joysticks every Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern. But my vocal cords are going to freaking hell. I'll tell you. During Crown Jewel, I had the worst sneezing fit, and that's part of why. Something was triggering me. I had 2 different fits that were about 8 deep, and my vocal cords were already going goofy. Maybe I'm getting sick. I hope not. That would be terrible. But either way, I got to go chill. We got to end this thing here. So let's wrap it up. Thank you for being here for this episode of The Week in Wrestling, this 2-parter. We're in the future compared to the previous part of the episodes in the past. We took a time machine to get here, and it was fantastic. And we'll do it again next week, live on Twitch, and then it'll be available on YouTube and Spotify. We'll talk about the Week in Wrestling. It'll be a good time. Be sure to listen to Dropkicks and Joysticks this coming Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be on WCW versus the NWO World Tour, or WCW versus NWO World Tour for the Nintendo 64. It'll be a fun time. It was all a fun time here today. But until then, have fun out there. Stay safe out there. Be happy out there. Or have, I don't know, I'm tired. I messed up my own sign-off. I'll see you next time. Yeah, that's it. We screwed it up. I'm tired. We're out. That's a perfect sign-off.